This is TWiT.
Flo's got a phone.
I do, and I actually haven't cleaned it, so you're going to see it's all fingerprinty. You know, I wish I was in studio to show this because, well, it's tough to do a review over a Logitech webcam. But I'm going to do my best. I did bring some visuals to kind of walk you through. So I have here in my hand, we teased this phone last week, the LG V60 ThinQ 5G. So I just want you to chew on that mouthful. I know there's throwing a lot of mouthfuls at you today, but it's kind of the theme. It's the theme I've got going on right now.
From the branding geniuses at LG.
Yes. And I kind of want to say this phone sometimes feels like a mouthful, just tangibly. It feels like a lot sometimes. But the nice thing about it is when you're feeling like it's too much, you can just take that extra screen off. So the V6 ThinQ 5G, it bills itself as a dual screen device, but I think it's kind of a poser, and I will get into why, but first I want to read a couple specs off for you. So just so you know what we're working with here, we have the V60 has a 6.8-inch OLED screen. That's the main screen that we're talking about right here. It's a resolution of 2460 by 1080. So it's 1080p, which has some people complaining because it's only 403 ppi, which that's a phone that you would have gotten a couple of years ago. That's the resolution and the pixels per inch that you would have gotten. But this day and age, a little higher. So I think that's why some people are kind of like, but I can't really scale the difference. I can't really tell. I've been binge watching video on this in particular. And I will show you how I did that in just a bit with that second screen. Inside, it has 8 gigs of memory, 128 gigs of storage, which is quite a bit. Qualcomm Snapdragon 865, up to 2 terabytes for that micro SD expansion. It's got a rear camera of 64 megapixels with an aperture of f/1.8. It's also capable of 8K 24 frames per second video recording, which is pretty great, although I can't really tell because I have nothing to play it back on. It also has a second rear camera of a 13 megapixel f/1.9 aperture and a 117 degree field of view, and a front camera that's 10 megapixels with an aperture of f/1.9 and a 72.5 degree field of view. It's got that wide angle look, but I'm going to tell you it's not super drastic like the way maybe previous LG phones were, which I like. So it's kind of nice and subtle, like the kind of wide angle that you would get on a SLR lens, for instance. It has an in-display fingerprint sensor, which not the biggest fan of it. I never use it because I just find it to be really finicky to use. Maybe it was the way that I registered. As you can see here on the screen, for those of you watching the video, I took a quick little video with my other phone of setting up the fingerprint scanner, and it just felt really slow, and I just can never quite place my thumb on there the right way. Maybe it's because the phone is too big for me, so the way I handle it is kind of weird. But anyway, I never use it. I just use the pattern unlock. So that's what's going on with the V60. It has a headphone jack, which is going to make a lot of people really excited. You can plug in your headphones, or you can use Bluetooth if you feel like it. Quad DAC, really high quality speakers. I feel like this has the quality of, a freebie Bluetooth speaker that maybe you have around the house. So it's the kind of thing that you can put, next to you as you're folding clothes, and it sounds just as good as maybe almost as good as turning on a home mini. Not exactly bass in that sense, but it's good for walking around the house. 5,000 milliamp battery. It took me a really long time to run this down. It took me maybe almost 5 days of just leaving it on standby. I will say that once you tack on that extra screen, the battery starts to really deplete a lot quicker than it would on its own. So just something to keep in mind. IP68 water resistance, and it comes in white and blue. I got the pretty white version, which you saw actually in the photo slideshow that we just went through. And then there's the blue one that a bunch of other folks have out there. I am more partial to the white one. It's pretty. It's pearlescent. It looks really good on its own without the case. So let's talk a little bit about that dual screen. So I kind of said that it was a bit of a poser. You have to buy that screen separately, so it doesn't come immediately out of the box. It's an extra $100 to $150, depending on where you're buying it. The phone is already between $800 and $900. Again, depending where you're buying it from. So it's a little bit cheaper than maybe the Galaxy S20, if you were thinking about that. When you put the phone inside the case, it connects via USB-C, and that's how it accesses that second screen. And so from there, you can touch the screen and kind of command it with gestures as you would with the main display. So the back button, back gesture works the same. You double tap to turn the screen on, double tap to turn it off. There is a bit of a weirdness when you do that stretching of the screen or that expandability. It's not as seamless as I thought it would be. There's a little widget that floats around on the screen that you can tap, and that will give you the options that you have inside the app for that dual screen ability. And if your app doesn't allow for the dual screen ability, you will not see that expanded view button, which is kind of a bummer. So you'll find out quickly there's not a lot of apps that work with it, which just makes you feel like, okay, well, I guess I just have a second screen. That expanded view, by the way, is called the wide view option. It's not like the ZTE Axon M. That's a phone that we had on a couple of years ago. You are going to see quite a bit of border in the middle there, separating the two screens. So it makes it kind of odd to do the widescreen. It's not something you'd want to watch a video with. It's not something you'd want to read an article with. And I was trying to figure out if I could maybe use it in a reading mode, have like an ebook reader, have chapters, or I guess each page on each of the screens, but doesn't work with playbooks, doesn't work with Moon Reader, as far as I know. If I manage to figure it out, I will let you know, but for now, it doesn't. The secondary display is going to also be folded anyway, so you can fold it backwards, have one screen here. Ooh, look at me. I'm using my one screen with this very big case on. When you do that, you can't use the rear camera, so front facing only in this mode. Or if you pivot it ever so slightly, you could give yourself a little kickstand with that second display. Just be careful what you put it on because you don't want to scratch it up. That kind of, kills the whole reason that you bought this in the first place. You can also use it to stand it up like this with the dual mode. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe you're doing this while you're playing your Nintendo Switch, okay? And you have like your game facts on one screen and your app for categorizing on the other. That's something that you could maybe use this phone for. I was using it with Dropbox and video editing. I really liked how seamless that was. I liked how quick it was. Again, there's 8 gigs of RAM in this thing, so no slowdown whatsoever. Very good at processing apps, opening apps. One little weirdness, though, and Victor, I think if you refresh, you might be able to see the photo that I uploaded. Or actually, there's a photo where you will see the keyboard. So one bummer is that you can't turn the phone landscape mode, so that you could maybe use the bottom display as like a keyboard. I was thinking that would be cool to be able to use it as like a virtual keyboard. Yeah. I was thinking, I was trying to get it to work, but
that's weird.
Couldn't figure it out. So
that's a missed opportunity if that's the case. Absolutely
missed opportunity. And as you can see, the keyboard doesn't scale exactly, so that, maybe you could have a thumb on each screen, to kind of cycle through. I guess it's something, again, that was the Google keyboard I was using. Maybe that did it with the defaults and I didn't try it, but sorry, I didn't try it. A couple of other little points to make. the camera. Now, I want to kind of walk through really quickly a couple photos that I took. There's a separate photo album for that, Victor. If you want to just quickly slideshow through it, I can talk us through it. Also, just have to tell you, there's gratuitous baby pics in this. So this is the opportunity that you get to see Mona here on screen right now. If you're watching the video display. This mode is one of the many portrait modes that LG lets you do. It's like a studio mode. It was in the G8. I wasn't super into it. It's, it's a thing. That, again, with the portrait mode was good, but it was nothing like the portrait mode that you would get on the Pixels. So not even in comparison, even though it's adjustable. I was doing a little photo challenge. These are some flowers I found in the backyard, and I just kind of wanted to see how the colors popped. This is a completely unedited photo. So this is exactly what I got just pointing and shooting. There's a little AI that comes into play, and it adjusts all the exposure, everything that you need from the photo to take a photo. And this is kind of what comes out. I was pretty impressed with it. I was kind of thinking it would be a lot worse than it was, which maybe sets my where my expectations are for LG's phones. But I was pleasantly surprised that AI worked pretty well at figuring out, whether it was a cloudy day, whether it was a sunny day. On sunny days, you could really tell it was a sunny day, though. So, it doesn't temper any of that daylight. It shoots video up to 8K. But again, I wasn't really able to test any of that, or rather play it back. But I did like how smooth the video was. You've got that zoom on the back there. I tested it. It's good for kind of landscape photography. You just want to get like a visual. So this is out my backyard window. And then if you go over to the next photo, Victor, I kind of tried to zoom into the fog. You'll start to see the weeds that I need to cut in the backyard. They start to sort of blur around the edges. So even though it does have that optical 10 times digital zoom ability, it's nothing compared to what you would get with an actual optical lens being able to do that. And actually, Victor, here's my baby. This is the portrait mode. And so you'll see it's kind of soft around the edges, but I just, I didn't feel like it was doing the best job unless I had the best lighting. So definitely not like the Pixels. You want to go ahead and go to the next slide, Victor. This is just a quick little video, the baby yawning, and I just really liked how smooth that panning was. It doesn't feel jerky. The picture was clear. Definitely better than what I have with the Pixels. That's for darn sure. If you want to go to that next one, Victor. And then this, I wanted to just quickly show like the zoom ability. Victor, I don't know if this is the video is the next one. So this was the video that I took with the zoom. As you saw on that last slide, the digital zoom is just very, it is what it is. And even when you're shooting video with that zoom, it's not quite clear. It's very hard to focus. I mean, you could tell it's a bird by the way it's moving in the background, but you can't quite tell what kind of bird. So, it's nice to have feature, I suppose, but I didn't find it to be the clearest zoom available. So we still have a lot of work to do on that front. Front-facing camera, good selfie cam. I took a little selfie before the show today. And besides that, only a couple other things to sort of bring up on the darn it side. That Android 10, it's there, the features are there, but the UI is LG's, so you might trip over it a little bit. It's not the nicest looking thing, and I tried to use some launchers and some icons to make things look better, but you still have to deal with kind of overall LG interface. And also, it's kind of a really bulky phone when it has that case on. I like it better without the case. I think actually without the case, it's a pretty compelling phone, especially at that $800 price point. I think with the case on, this just makes me think good try bringing that dual screen life to us in the Android realm, but I'm hoping that the Surface Duo will give me a better case for why I'd want 2 screens on an Android device. So still waiting for that use case, but I like what LG tried to do here, and it gave me a glimpse at what could be in the future. So that's the V60.